they exited out of turn 3, and that looks very nasty indeed, and unsurprisingly, that is a red flag. This is live shots, Romain Grosjean in the medical car, talking there with the medical team, Dr. Ian Roberts on the scene, as you would expect, instantaneously, and great news to see.
Coming around that corner, there's a back of a car pointing in the wrong direction, flames.
It all happened really quickly. I mean, we communicate on an intercom, so it's very natural speech. It's pretty much like this. Ian always gives a very, a running commentary of what's going on the tracking system, but we just very quickly turned to trying to figure out what it was that we were looking at. It just didn't look real.
Look at that. That looks like Alan van der Merwe, the medical car driver, with the Dr. Ian Roberts as well. And Van der Merwe, Alan's putting them out.
I have not seen a car like that in my time commentating on Formula One. I've never seen a Formula One car do that.
You grabbed a fire extinguisher, Alan. There were already 2 fire marshals on hand as well, who played a critical role in that.
Well, certainly for the guy that was with me, he extremely bravely crossed the track, and the blast actually directed at where Romain was.
They both did incredible jobs. If they wouldn't have been there, Ian's job would have been a lot longer and a lot more difficult, and that's all of those bits of the puzzle just sort of slotted together perfectly. The fact that he was already there as we pulled up, the fact that he had the right kind of extinguisher, and it was perfect.
That's extraordinary. The car's gone through the barrier, sort of used as a wrench, as it were, to literally rip the car in half. That's a miracle.
We've carried this extinguisher for, I'd say, 11 years, never touched it. We've spoken about it a lot. We've hoped that we'd never use it. The fact that we had spoken about this and thought about it a lot, it just felt like we were sort of playing a well-rehearsed routine. Ian went there, he did his thing. The situation evolves, and it might be milliseconds. It's like every half a second a new thing happens, and you're just trying to follow along and make quick decisions.
Ian, you need to be looking after the patient, looking after the driver as he comes out of the car. How much is it your job, Alan, to look after Ian, to make sure that he can actually function as a doctor once you've got the driver out?
I mean, everything we do with operating this car is about Ian. It's about getting him somewhere. It's about keeping him out of harm's way. If there's all sorts of silly things can happen once he's outside of the car. We do have a local doctor, but Ian has the expertise with Formula One cars and with the drivers, and in moments like Sunday, you need that sort of feeling of how to respond very quickly. So it's all about Ian. It's about keeping Ian out of trouble and helping him when he needs it. He might just need something simple.
Just like to point out one or two of the items that we carry in the back of the medical car. We have a mixture of both our kit and our national doctor's equipment, which are our 2 kit bags, one containing our oxygen and airway, one major trauma bag. We carry our KERS gloves just in case, or should I say our ERS gloves. The little bag that came in very useful this weekend, and that was the burns dressings, and of course our fire extinguishers. So that was the major equipment that we carry in the trunk. For a first intervention, I just need a small trauma bag that has everything in it that we really require to start our first intervention. Even before this one gets touched, I have a few items that I carry on my person: tourniquets, airways, etc., which are useful in the very first stages of the intervention.
So this is where we spend most of our time. We have an array of screens. They all give us different types of information. Ian mainly looks at the tracking system, so we can see where the cars are. It's very important for us to stay out of the way of them, not to get involved with any of the racing cars. So we use that on the first lap to understand where they are, where we are relative to them. We've got biometrics here. When we get close enough to the cars, we can get live biometrics from the driver's gloves. We have some messaging systems here. So this is pretty much our mobile mobile office. We have an intercom system that we're connected together with, so Ian and I can speak naturally without sort of too much effort. And once we leave the car, we're on regular handheld radio, so we can speak to race control. And in the car as well, obviously, we can speak to race control and get commands from them.
We've already discussed if there's a car going under a barrier, what do we do? And we run through some options. If there's a fire, what do we do? And we've already run through some options. And in that way, that really has served us really very, very well throughout these past few years.
Certain parts of the F1 car and what Romain was wearing obviously played their role. Can you explain to us the importance in this accident of the halo, the survival cell itself, the helmet, and Romain's fireproof or fire retardant clothing?
Everything came together. Our gut feeling is that the halo did its job. It helped push the barrier away. The clothing, there's been uprated specification for this year. The hands, we need to look at what the entry vectors were to see how well the hands worked. It all comes together. It's several pieces to the whole jigsaw.
Going back 30, 40 years to Professor Sid Watkins, Charlie Whiting, the work that has brought us to where we are now. We were talking earlier, Ian, and you said one of your earliest memories was of Ronnie Peterson's accident.
That's a schoolboy memory. I remember that. That's one of my very first bits of exposure to Formula One spectating. And the things that happened on Sunday were the accumulation of all of the knowledge that had gone before. There are many people in the background who have worked extremely hard to get things to where they are now. But nobody's sitting back. It's evolving all of the time. You mentioned Sid, Charlie, Andy Mellor, who fantastic guy, engineer. Loads of work on all of the safety stuff. Laurent Mekis, instrumental in the halo development. All of these guys, they were all there on Sunday. We just did that extra bit that brought all of their work together.